Ways. Welcome to the Damu Kiwe conversation. It's Deuce Sims the Don. We're going to get this one started. We got the content. Spring certified news. You know we have to do it again.
I want this shit banging in my headphones. You understand me? Let me hear that beat. You dig? I'm gonna address some shit. Let y'all niggas know the real. I've been dormant for too long. Hibernating. Everybody want it, but do you wanna get it? I'm sick of all these niggas bullshit. I'm sick of all these bitches. I'm sick of how these bitch niggas tripping and how y'all get these passes to these snitches. Neighborhood crippin', dog pound gangsters in the building. I'ma treat these niggas like bitches. Throw them to the wolves and the vultures, the hyenas and my step.
Damu Kiwe conversation. The only place you gonna get it is the only place you gonna get Big U.
Where's? So we got to get to the content. We got the brothers street certified news. El Guapo. Salute to the brother El Guapo, man. It's like every time we come together, hey, unity, man. It's unity, and he done made some bands dealing with Deuce Sims because we get the content. You know what I'm saying? So salute to El Guapo. We ain't gonna waste your time. Y'all hit that like button on the way in. Subscribe if you ain't already subscribed. Y'all see that right there. Like and subscribe. Y'all see that right there. Let's get into it though. We got the content.
I think when Wack sued WorldsTAR, a lot of people didn't know about it, and I'm sure he didn't talk about it. But you know what I'm saying? A lot of people in the streets kind of knew, like, okay, Wack said he's suing people. He said he ain't going after people on the street shit. He just gonna sue the CS2 back Main Street Mafia Crip case, which was the case that Wack is suing WorldsTAR over. We dropped that story about over a year ago, and now we got the full lawsuit. We got the full lawsuit of Wack 100 suing WorldsTAR. Now, in this lawsuit, like I said, ain't no real surprise that Wack 100 is suing WorldsTAR. But in the lawsuit, there are actually a lot of surprises that lay out and speaks directly to all of the stories we've been telling y'all about the boy Wack 100. All of the news that's come out about Wack 100, he's blaming Worldstarhiphop and saying that they negatively affected his business, that in the streets people consider him a rat now, and that it has hurt him and his money and all of these things. And as a result, I believe he's suing WorldsTAR for like $5 million. And this is a real lawsuit. Like I said, we're gonna put the paperwork up there. The first part of the documentation that I thought was important was he claims on January 27th, 2024. So like we said, it was like early 2024. Within 2 business days, he sent a letter to Media Labs immediately demanding the removal of the video, and he wanted to issue a formal retraction. Now, Wack 100 understands that WorldstarHipHop is not a media voice or a media place. It's really just a place where people either pay to get their videos posted, or maybe WorldsTAR just likes it or whatever. Maybe it's a person that works within WorldsTAR. So WorldsTAR ain't never gave no formal retraction. You know what I'm saying? He's putting that there so that if they don't do it, he could sue. So what he said was, hey, you got to take the video down and you have to issue a formal retraction within a certain amount of time or I could sue. WorldstarHipHop would respond, claiming that within 24 hours that the video in question had been removed. Wack 100 would then go on to say that it was extremely important that this video was removed for his safety and his reputation, and that these were false statements made in a public forum. You know, if you believe that snitches get stitches, once you find out somebody an informant, you know, it could be green light. So Wack 100 went to the people and told them this, like, hey man, they calling me a rat, they calling me a snitch. My life is in danger now. My money is involved in this. So that's what the lawsuit's about. Worldstar Hip Hop would then take the video down.
Wack 100 has officially PC'd up. Cause when you was in the valley, you was BG'd up. Nigga say you're a baby gangster. Pacoy Maparu, he say he started the baby gangster. Now the nigga's no longer BG'd up. He hit the internet and went PC'd up. WorldStar video dropped, the nigga PC'd up. A nigga really PC'd up off the internet, nigga. S and Y. The exposers is synonymous now with S and Y. 100 EBT is synonymous with S and Y. Just think of all the raps that they got. Hold on one second before we get back to El Guapo, right? So you got Tekashi 6ix9ine, Wack 100, Big Snow, Snow Silly, Blue the Snitchy, Beast, who else over there they working with that's rats? Oh, they got a lot of rats that they deal with, man. It's infested with marsupials on the 100 side. And then they do got the Rainbow Alphabet Gang over there too, not just the Federal Alphabet Gang, but the other one, LGBT, them too. Naughty, right? just like S and Y, y'all. I'm sorry, man. Let's go.
On February 1st. So literally within 4 days and within 2 business days of the January 31st deadline. On or around February 5th, Wack 100 claims that he appeared on the Adam and Wack podcast in an attempt to clear his name and deny the allegations. So again, we got WorldStar Hip Hop on one side saying they posted a video by the boy Deuce M's, and Deuce M's is named in the lawsuit later down the line. We're gonna read that for y'all. But WorldStar Hip Hop is named in this lawsuit. Deuce M's uploads a video to WorldStar Hip Hop. Wack 100 sends this cease and desist out within a number of days. WorldStar Hip Hop then takes the video down. But like I said, they don't issue any sort of statements ever. So for them to issue some sort of formal retraction or formal statement, that wasn't going to happen. Either way, Wack 100 would then go on his own podcast, which is, I would say around this time, is probably bigger than WorldStar, to give a different story.
No, they're not bigger than WorldStar.
I think this is important because on Wack 100's podcast, he disparages people all the time. He says negative things about people in this public forum, in this public space all the time. You could go on, what's the other shit they do? What's the other shit they be doing, man? The fucking Wack 100 is on the phone disparaging people. He's on his internet disparaging people. And one time that something happens that he doesn't like and it has his name in it, now he's suing, whether it was the Main Street Mafia story or the Texas, drop the charges in the case of justice, whatever. We did our homework, man. We went and got the paperwork, firsthand sources, went straight to Texas, went straight to LA County Sheriff and got these documents. Either way, WorldStar Hip Hop would then respond, because they're not gonna be like, yo, okay, he's right, we owe him $5 million. They're not gonna say that. So they responded. And this is what their response was, and I love it. Like I said, so the first affirmative defense. So these is basically WorldStar Hip Hop got $1 million lawyers. They laid out about 10 reasons why they disagree with Wack 100 and why they don't believe WorldStar Hip Hop owes Wack 100 $5 million for posting one of thousands of videos that they post all the time. Damn near every video they post, if it's not a music video, is disparaging somebody. And even in music videos, I'm sure they disparaging somebody they talking about in the song, disparaging the girl, shaking her ass. Everybody's being disparaged on WorldStar Hip Hop. So for them to, it's some lame shit, bro. This is what lame niggas do when they can't really make shit move on their own accord. They run to them people, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I see it. Either way, the first affirmative defense, WorldStar Hip Hop's lawyers claim that the complainant failed to state a cause of action upon which relief may be granted. So basically, Wack 100 crying. There's nothing that he wants that will fix this situation except for the paper. You know what I'm saying? Like, usually when you're suing somebody, or even before the lawsuit even take place, you will put out there like, look, this is what I want. Now, again, he said, I want the video taken down and I want a formal retraction. Worldstar Hip Hop, all they do is post videos. They never speak on nothing. So for them to make a once in a lifetime change, because it don't make sense. So no formal retraction, but they did take the video down. Clearly that wasn't enough for Wack 100, and he continued with the lawsuit. So their first reasoning of, hey, we don't agree with this lawsuit is, bro, you said you wanted some action. We gave you the action. Now you still suing us. There have to be a action of relief. If I do this, then the shit stop. But there isn't, because of course Wack 100 just wants to sue WorldStar. It's not really to stop the lawsuit, it's to keep that bitch going. So now the second affirmative defense, and this is really the smoke gun right here. This is the deal breaker. Like we said, these big companies have $1 million lawyers. They have legal teams. They understand this type of stuff before it even goes up on the internet. We got integrity. We not finna speak on no man that's not doing that and act like he is. So the second affirmative defense for Worldstar Hip Hop is that the video contains substantial truth. The plaintiff's claims are barred in whole or in part because statements allegedly made by or attributed to the defendant were substantially true, and the defendant had reasonable grounds for believing the truth of the statements.
So let's get to that real quick, right? So when they say substantially true, that's a legal phrase. It means something is not perfectly accurate in every tiny detail, but the main point or overall gist is correct. For example, if someone says a person stole $500, but in reality it was $480, the statement can still be considered substantially true, because the important part that the person stole money is correct. So in this case, if we say he's CS2 back, blase blah, and maybe he first started working when he caught the gun case in Texas that was later dismissed in the interest of justice, and they come to find out, oh no, he started working in YA. The statement is still substantially true. It's just little details might be off here and there. So this is what WorldStar, a reputable hip-hop blog, the biggest hip-hop platform in America, the biggest hip-hop platform in America, 500 million views monthly. That's 500 million views a month. It's what her WorldStar is doing. And their lawyers, $1 million lawyers, top of the line, are saying that the documentary exposing Wack 100 at CS2 back is substantially true. Nasty word. How you gonna get around this? Thought they was just gonna lay down and settle, huh? Nah. Just like me, they credibility on the line. You finna have to go to trial with this one.
So Wack 100 is suing WorldStar Hip Hop, and he has named you in the lawsuit, and he done tried to kind of disparage your name and make it seem like it's something personal between y'all two instead of.
And let's get this straight. There is something personal between me and him. He disrespected my woman, me, my father, my brother. So obviously we got a personal issue that we got to deal with face to face. Now, does that mean that I have to be biased and that I'm just anything I say about him is going to be a lie? Hell no. I ain't got to lie about him at all. The nigga's a marketing genius. but he doesn't know how to monetize it. That's why he's going broke. There's been situations as when he said he wouldn't sign a Southsider to his record label, where I took his position because in support of this position, because without bias and prejudice, I could separate the two and call a ball and a strike a strike. In fact, when Styles P said, y'all better G-check, you don't get at no gangsters about what they better do, nigga. You don't call no motherfucking dogs over here. So when Wack took that position, I agree with just that part of it. But everything else I agree with Styles P. So I can separate the two. And with the documentary, that was easy for me to have my cake and eat it too, because he was CS2 back. Let's get to it.
Hold on. Oh yeah, my bad, bro. Bro, I told you my camera going crazy, bro. Like I literally at any moment, bro, my shit could go black. I gotta go get a new camera, man, for real.
Okay.
But like I something wrong with the cord. Like the camera good, but it's just like the cord is hanging out or something. But now either way, so he's claiming WorldStar basically posted some shit that is personal between y'all, some beef or whatever. And now he's suing him for like $5 million. He done named you in the lawsuit.
I thought he said Big U posted it. How Big U posted it? I'm just saying. Big U made this. We're gonna get into that. Let's go.
Man, tell me just I just wanted to start right there. All right, so now you go. You can know everything else.
All right. So first, the $5 million is what he claimed on his reaction to the WorldStar Hip Hop video being taken down on No Jumper, but he really didn't cite how much he was actually suing for in the lawsuit, right?
Okay, yeah. So I saw that was the thing. Like they ain't like what you want, bro. Like you just suing this shit.
Right. And it really, like he said, and admits in there, he went on No Jumper to try to clear his name up in the public consensus. But most everybody who's seen it started realizing, like, yeah, this dude really is a hip-hop copy, hip-hop police and working with them. But first, him talking about my name. This lawsuit is between him and WorldstarHipHop. It's about my works being a documentary that I put together, exposing Wack 100 as a confidential source in the Main Street Mafia Crip case, as well as insinuating the plausibility of him being a snitch, also stemming from the Texas case, gun case.
Right, so, right. Which we did docs on. Me and you did docs on the Main Street Mafia case.
Crazy.
Y'all could go back and watch that. And we just did this year a doc on the Texas gun case, which like we found within 2 months of the Main Street Mafia Crips getting arrested, he got that gun case dropped in the interest of justice.
In the interest of justice.
In the interest of justice. So, all right. So now, what is he talking? Why is he bringing you up personally if it's a lawsuit at WorldStar?
Well, he obviously he knows how close I was with Big U, and he's trying to target me for some kind of arrest. He claims that damage was done to his property. Like, I remember the YouTuber dude went to what he thought was his house, so maybe he's talking about his house was damaged then, whatever. But for him to try to tie me exposing and warning the world that he was CS2 back to that is a major leap. And it seems and appears like he's seeking some kind of charges for this. Look, I'm high as a motherfucker, right? What has happened to him that has to do with my video? Right. He's saying that Lamonte Sims is a felon, right?
Right.
I am a felon, but that's not, I'm also a businessman. You don't know me from doing crimes. My last crime I was convicted of was in 2013, bro. You talking about almost 15 years.
15 years ago type shit, right?
Yeah. you know. So I've evolved from that. I paid my debt to society, right? And I've evolved since then, ingratiated myself into the hip hop culture, back into the hip hop culture, because I was already doing my thing out on the West Coast, right? So that helped up me continue to capitalize on the monetization project of the Hit Your Brim.
See how high
he says
I am? Wait,
also I'm CEO of Active Chucks.
Y'all just hear that?
That's a given.
I'm so high. I said the monetization project instead of process. It helped the monetization process. I was blown. Let's go. I'm finna get high after this. Let's go.
Why are you telling these people?
Yeah, like why he putting your businesses and the shit that you involved with in the paperwork like that, like giving them information about you.
Right. Well, I think he also want to try to pit us against each other because he knew that I had served a demand for payment.
Us against each other, meaning WorldStar Hip Hop against Do Sims against WorldStar Hip Hop. I did serve a demand for payment to Wack 100, YouTube, and Media Labs IA, which is the parent company of WorldStar Hip Hop, demanding $5 million. So, but they could settle out for $250,000. So that's where that was at. But let's get to it.
From Wack 100 and a demand for payment from WorldStar Hip Hop and a demand for payment for YouTube, right? And I'll give you the screenshot. So Cash Jones, Wack 100, was so hurt by being exposed with the documentary that he wanted it down by any means. So he had his attorneys strike my YouTube page where I had the same it's still up there now. They took down my documentary off my YouTube page, gave me a copyright strike because Cash Jones claimed that the video was his. He owned the video, copyright entire video, right? So
after you already had put it out.
After I had already put it out, right? So the video was down for like 2 weeks, right? You know how you got to wait like 10 days if you get a strike or whatever. And then by that time,
yeah, it's customary when you receive a strike or a copyright that they take the video down, even your channel, if it's some kind of community thing. And after 10 days, when you challenge it, if they don't file something in the court to continue to proceed, then they'll put the video back up and you be able to go live again. This is what Wack 100 did with my intellectual property that I own. Let's go.
I'm telling him, I told YouTube, I'm registered this with the Copyright Office. I've also registered it and got the digital embedded fingerprint in the video,
right?
Which comes back to Active Chucks Entertainment. I'm talking about all the way to Sound Exchange billboards, bro. Everything cross. I teach this shit. Cross my T's, dot my I's.
So what I'm talking about right now is some big boy shit. I'm talking my shit, right? So let me go to show y'all what I did with this work. So y'all already seen the certificate of registration. Let me go on Sound Exchange. I'm gonna log in to Sound Exchange real quick, right? And then I'm gonna show y'all exactly what I did. I want y'all to see my password. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I was talking about as far as it being registered to collect, just like you would do a song or anything else. That's how I register my work to protect myself. With the barcode, ISRC code, and UPC code, which would be like the barcode showing where it was manufactured, where it came from. This is how you put the digital fingerprint embedded into the film, right? So just like a water bottle or fruit, say it was salmonella found in the fruit, right? They will be able to track it to the exact form it was produced at, right? So let's get to this real quick. Let me show y'all that. So we're going to go on my Sound Exchange account, right? So, boom. Let's show y'all this.
So now we're in my sound exchange. You going, babe? All right. You got a break? Call me. So if you go into sound exchange, I hope it allows y'all to see this, right? Oh yeah, it's allowing y'all. Bam. So when you get right here, you see Wack 100 CS2 back. Hip Hop Police. This is the documentary. Y'all see Hit Your Bremen. I own that. I own all of this. Meet me in the set. QM EU 323-91655. And then there goes the number that you get from Sound Exchange, number 214 ROHY1. So first I register with the Copyright Office to protect myself. By me registering with the Copyright Office, if anyone steals it, it's registered with this a secured interest that Lamonte Sims is the actual copyright holder and has a secured interest in this film, right? The CS2 back. Anybody steals that, I could get an attorney on a contingency basis, meaning I won't have to pay them nothing until after they win the lawsuit, because I got the certificate of registration. It's my work, and unless I've signed over rights, which is called a license, unless I license the rights out in exchange for something else. So after that, and so you get reasonable attorney fees if you register with the Copyright Office. Lawyers know that. They'll take your case on a contingency basis if they got the time to do it. It's easy money where they're going to cook the books, reasonable attorney fees, right? And then you get the ISRC codes. I buy my own ISRC codes so that and UPC code, so that it doesn't say, if it was a record, Distro Kid or CD Baby, so that it says Active Chucks Entertainment when you playing this in your car. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna say Deuce M's, or in this case, is the metadata inside the film is gonna say Active Chucks Entertainment, Wack 100 CS2 back, Hip Hop Police. But then you just don't stop there, right? You gotta also register it for mechanical royalties, right? And that's with the MLC, right? Let me see if I can log in real quick. But I was just talking my shit. That's enough for that. I ain't gonna give y'all the whole, you know what I'm saying? But just know I know my shit. So I properly register my shit, you know what I'm saying, to protect myself, you know, because I'm dealing with WorldStar Hip Hop, and you never know what's gonna go viral. You know what I'm saying? I thought Hit Your Bremen would do good, but I don't think Hit Your Bremen was the dopest rap on there. If I was out, a couple of them verses wouldn't have even been on there because they were subpar to me. You know what I'm saying? So they hurried up and got that out there. Let's get to the content. My God, El Guapo. This is not his. After that, he doesn't respond. The video goes back up. But these are just some of the tactics that
he does
to try to silence our right and freedom to speech. You know what I'm saying? If I was really defaming him and it was a lie, he's all within his rights. But as the fact that I stand on facts, just like WorldStar.
Right, I was gonna say that WorldStar in the lawsuit. This was the part to me, and this is why when you sent it to him, I'm like, this it right here. You know what I'm saying? What they say, we got content, ain't that? That's what they say.
We got the content.
This the content right here. So in WorldStar's defense, these is they lawyers, $1 million lawyers, representing $1 million companies. The first reason, or what's it called, the affirmative defense or something. The first reason that they said is because, hey, he don't give us a way of relief. Like, he don't even say what he wants. He's just mad. He's just suing us. The second reason is the shit is reasonably true.
No,
substantially true. Right. We're gonna show the paperwork, but it's substantially true. So even WorldStar Hip Hop's lawyers are saying, look, when we put it up, we put it up because we looked into it and it was substantially true. Like these things can be verified.
Right.
When you
And,
asked us to take it down, we took it down, and you still sued us, and you're not really saying like how to relieve the situation.
Right.
That's what WorldSTAR, these $1 million lawyers. So for people that want to be like, yo, niggas be just making up stories, paperwork. Listen, WorldstarHipHop hip hop lawyers is in federal court right now saying, hey, this shit was true.
Right.
We took it down though. We took it down.
Well, let me tell you two things, right? Substantially true is a legal phrase. It means something is not perfectly accurate in every tiny detail, but the main point or the overall gist is correct. For example, right? If someone says a person stole $500, but in reality it was $480,
that will be substantially true.
Because the important part that the person stole the money is correct, right? So that's what WorldStar's lawyers are arguing. Look, we stand by it because it's substantially true, right? Whatever little inkling you talking about, the gist is you're a rat. You're
right. You are CS2 back. You are that person in the wiretap. Right.
Let's get to it, man. Shout out my guy, Street Certified News. So we got to stop sharing that. Boom. So what we going to do, we're going to couple this with a lot of the facts, some of the documentaries that help explain what's going on. I know for some people, this is like rocket science, right? Complex, too much reading. A lot of y'all don't do it. I love to read. Let me see. I love money first, family, because the family love the money. So money first, family, money first, family members, weed, and then after that, reading in that order. And then after that, red snapper, my 5 favorite things in the world. You know what I'm saying? So we gonna go to this where they talk about it, right? Boom. Let's get to this. We're gonna go through the whole series, right? That's part 3. We're going to part 1. Let me see what part 1 is at. Because that's part 3. Okay, here we go. We got part 1. All right. So we're going to get right into the documentary. Then we'll have, matter of fact, we're going to play the other documentary and then we'll get to these after because this one better explains it for those who don't understand what we're talking about and where all of this came from. So we'll start here, right? Let's go. Shout out my boy Kip Caney, 11. Yep.
On the night of February 10th, 2008, a man by the name of Robert Ross went into a convenience store in West Hollywood. He was then kidnapped at gunpoint and was forced to drive to a home in South Central Los Angeles, in the territory of the Main Street Mafia Crips. There, he was beaten, robbed, and demanded to return Shaquille O'Neal's sex tape. Stay tuned. Let's turn back the clock. The year is 1992, and Shaquille O'Neal roared his way from LSU all the way to the NBA, where he became synonymous with both power and finesse. Quickly, he became one of the league's most dominant players, and one of the US's most popular celebrities. As a literal larger-than-life figure, Shaq also dominated off the court, starring in movies, Pepsi commercials, gracing video game and magazine covers, making wrestling appearances, and topping the charts with one of his most dear passions, rapping, spitting on the mic. Along names such as the Notorious B.I.G., Nas, and Jay-Z, the Big Aristotle showed us chops on the mic, even featuring on a Michael Jackson single. Yeah, seriously. Of course, Shaq doesn't get a King of Pop or Jay-Z feature by just dunking a basketball. He was actually an adept rapper for his time period. And although he already had millions of dollars, worldwide fame, and basically anything that he wanted more. He called himself a Renaissance man, And hey, he was Shaquille O'Neal, man. Whatever he wanted, he got. No diddy. So it's a year later now. Fresh off a Rookie of the Year campaign, Shaq founded his own record label called Twism Records, with Twism standing for The World Is Mine. Fitting. While being one of the league's best players from out the gate.
Is it true that you're the only rookie that was ever named Player of the Week in the first week?
Yes, it is. I had a pretty good week.
He was also recording with some of the hottest artists in the 90s, the first of which being a rap group called Fushnikins, one of Shaq's childhood idols. The record was a song they'd already recorded, called What's Up Doc, Can We Rock? They added Shaq last minute as a feature, and the song blew up. Coming out in the summer of 1993, it was a top 40 Billboard hit. To compare, Tweaker by Jello Ball is a top 30 Billboard hit, and look where it got him. So yeah, Shaq was hot stuff. It was actually fire, for the time at least.
What's up, Doc? I'm the hooper, piper, protected by Viper. When I'm out the hooping, yo, you better decipher.
That single showed that Shaq could hold his own in the booth, and many more records followed. What's Up Doc became the lead single of Shaq's first project, called Shaq Diesel, which went platinum, selling over 1 million copies. Buoyed by this massive success, Jive Records, the label that put Fushnikins and Shaq together in the first place, offered him a 3-album, $10 million deal.
Adrian called and he said, bro, you're not going to believe this. And I said, what? He said, they offer you a $10 million 3-album deal. And I was like, I got to take it.
The next album he dropped was called Shaq Food, The Return, where the first song was No Hook, featuring RZA and Method Man.
The Shaq attack has risen. Roll call 3 p.m. This is Twism. Always and forever.
The album went gold, selling about 500,000 copies. After this, Shaq left Jive Records and partnered with Interscope, where in 1996 he dropped the best album from any athlete ever, You Can't Stop the Rain, featuring the Notorious B.I.G., Jay-Z, Nas, and Rakim. For my younger audience, that's like Jello dropping a project with Drake, NBA Youngboy, Lil Uzi, and damn, Cardi. Shaq was stamped in the music game. Just a few months prior, Shaq made the bombshell announcement that he'd be signing a 7-year, $121 million deal with the Los Angeles Lakers. From there, he became the legend that we all know. On the music side, he commemorated his move with the track Straight playing. Symbolizing the arrival of Shaq Diesel on the West Coast. Now, comparatively speaking, You Can't Stop the Rain didn't do that well, selling 200,000 copies. Shaq did one more album partnering with A&M Records in 1998, which featured Kobe Bryant in a song called 3 Times Dope. However, Kobe wasn't credited because of label issues or something like that. But it's out there. I'll play a snippet right now.
I reach destinations with split-second acceleration in a capsule of time to witness your own evaporation.
When Phil Jackson came into the picture, Shaq let rapping take a back seat. And during the three-peat run in LA, he didn't release anything, recording one album called Shaquille O'Neal Presents Super Friends Volume 1, which never released. He dropped one last track called Drop Another Day number 34, which started a beef with a rapper called Mad Skills. And after that, he never dropped a full rap project again. The year is now 2004, and the Los Angeles Lakers are losing their groove. They lost their first NBA Finals in the Kobe and Shaq era, and while their status was nothing but solidified, Shaq's time in LA was almost up. Around this time, Shaq created a new label with his cousin Money Mark Stevens, a shrewd businessman who he regularly consulted with while he had Twism Records, which went under in 2001. This time, Shaq was looking to be the executive rather than the talent, and was looking for artists to partner with for his label. Now, enter Robert Ross, aka Stutterbox, due to his penchant for stuttering when he gets nervous or excited. He met Shaquille O'Neal at a party in LA in around 2003, and they became good friends. Stutterbox happened to know a lot of people around the music scene in LA. Shaq's new label, looking for new artists, commissioned Stutterbox to go and find new people for him, and he followed through. Plus interest, it seems. Enough to where Shaq shouted him out in a 2006 remix of his song with a Notorious B.I.G. That's not all he shouted out, though. In fact, he had a lot of guys in a set to rap.
Man, Money Marcus Bullet, Cousin Kenny is my gap, man. Dog and Box got my back, man. K Slade, Corey Guns, Main Street, Lil Shaq, man.
So, who are these guys? And what's Main Street? Well, see, Robert Ross was affiliated with the Main Street Mafia Crips of South Central LA. This is where stuff gets sticky. While I've lived in South Central LA before, I have not had a singular gang interaction. Like, the closest I got, I went to a basketball court alone on the weekend, broad daylight. It's the middle of the day on a weekend, and there's no kids, no one around. I'm wondering what's going on. I see some gang tags, I put it together, and I get up out of there. I turn on the jets. I am not about that life. So I brought in someone who is. Lamonte Deuce M. Sims is an OG coming from the Fruitown Brims, a set of the Bloods in West South Central. He's worked with guys like YG and Ty Dolla $ign before, and featured on the viral Brim anthem, Hit Your Brimmin'. He's also the owner of the media outlet Active Chucks, where he's interviewed major LA players like Suge Knight, as well as our main men Robert Ross and Money Mark Stevens.
Stutterbox is the nexus to this whole investigation.
In late 2007, Ross formed a relationship with his neighbor Ray J and was able to bring him onto Shaq and Mark Stevens' label with the help of Death Row affiliate Cash Jones, aka Wack 100. That'll be important later. During the initial negotiations, Robert Ross and Mark Stevens agreed that Ross would make a percentage of royalties based off of whatever music that Ray J and the label put out together. But when they met in New York a few weeks later to finalize the deal, Mark Stevens balked. He gave Ross a $20,000 finder's fee and refused to pay him any royalties.
Now, mind you, Robert Ross is a real fancy, flashy dude. He's driving around Los Angeles at this point in Rolls Royces and Phantoms. He's really heavily and wealthy man. I think he had did a fraud, allegedly, and acquired about $7-8 million in a fraud scam that he had going on. So he's a street millionaire.
So naturally, Stutterbox wasn't going for it. And neither was Ray J, actually. He refused to sign the deal until Stutterbox got his pay, but the facilitator in New York, Koch Records, were going to nix the deal if he didn't sign soon. So Stutterbox tells Ray J sign the deal, and
I'll get my money out of these guys, how I get my money out of them.
The project ended up being a commercial success, topping the charts of Billboard Hip Hop and R&B. The main single was Sexy Can I, which actually had Shaq in the background of the music video.
Is it true that Shaq invested in your music career?
Yeah. He gave us, I think, 1.5 million for Sexy Can I.
Wow.
Money Mark, Wack 100, we had another partner, and then Shaq. And we recouped the number back for Shaq in, I don't know, 5 months, 6 months. And everything else has been profitable since.
All the while, Stutterbox was still trying to get his money back. After weeks of constantly requesting money from Mark and Shaq, there was no budging from either guy. So
Robert Ross and Cash Jones come up with a conspiracy to blackmail and extort Shaquille O'Neal and Mark Stevens for the money that Robert Ross felt he was owed for putting together the Ray J deal.
Now hold on, I know that sounds crazy, but hear it out. So Shaq and Stutterbox are good friends at this point, right? Stutterbox even introduced him to other members of the Main Street Crips, including the leader Liddell Rawls, aka Del Dog, remember that, and Kevin Haran, who went by the name of Lil Shaq. Sound familiar?
Dog and Box got my back, man. Main Street, Lil Shaq, man.
So not only does Shaq rep the Main Street set, but the other people that he mentioned are literally his family. Mark and Kenny,
cousin Kenny is my cat, man,
are his blood relatives, first cousins. And Corey Guns is his godson. But who gets the screen time? Not Kenny or Corey, but Stutterbox.
But him and Shaq was tight, and Shaquille O'Neal, prior to the deal, hung out with him, partied with him, even went to his house where Robert Ross leaves. Shaquille O'Neal had invited his female friend there, had sex with her there, and it was security cam footage when Robert Ross came home where he sees, oh man, he boom boom brought on my couch, you know what I'm saying? Shoved his hands all in her ass and all of this stuff.
So yeah, Stutterbox, Robert Ross, came home to a security cam footage and saw Shaq. Yeah. So anyway, that's leverage. This happened around July 2007, before Shaquille divorced his wife, Shawnee. That's infidelity from a global superstar in the 2000s. TMZ would literally be slobbering. TMZ was going to slobber all over that. So through Cash Jones, Wack 100, Ross claimed to have recorded and saved the footage and insinuated that he could sell it to TMZ and make a lot of money. Additionally, get this.
Now, Robert Ross, another story plot twist, seeing that Shaquille O'Neal and Shawnee O'Neal were having a rocky relationship. As the story goes, he allegedly played in to be a counselor, and it is rumored began to have sex with Shawnee O'Neal. I don't know if that's true or not. Like I said, Robert Ross lies about a lot, but it's been consistent. Even a lot of the police officers in their report citing that this allegation might have possibly been true. Shaquille O'Neal hired a private investigator to follow his ex-wife. She follows his ex-wife and brings back footage of Robert Ross and Shawnee O'Neal having brunch together out in, they met halfway and met in Texas or somewhere down south back east.
During this time, apparently Robert Ross told Shawnee O'Neal about the sex tape and even offered to sell it to her. She also said she didn't believe there was a sex tape because he was a liar and he never slept with her. So anyways, regardless of all of what happened previously, I think we can all agree here that Robert Ross is moving hella shiesty. I mean, he did say he's gonna get it back his way. I mean, he's a street millionaire. What do you expect? But here's where he messed up. He messed with Shaq Diesel. Hey, no glaze. One thing Shaq didn't play about back then was leaks. During Kobe Bryant's deposition in his 2004 Colorado case, he name-dropped Shaq to the people who were interviewing him, claiming that Shaq would not pay his woman to say anything, and that he's already paid up to $1 million for stuff like this. Now, listen, I'm not gonna choose a side for you guys, but the alleged victim, 3 days before she charged Kobe, bragged about being with him to 5 people. She'd apparently tried to get with Eminem, and her friend described her as having a celebrity addiction. At least from Kobe's point of view, this was just infidelity. And when Shaq did it, he married Shawnee in 2002, he made sure to cover his tracks. Now here goes one of his business partners, who, by the way, had a track of criminal activity, and Shaq was claiming to want to reform him, but he'd also been dropping Shaq's name to police officers. So this is the guy who's trying to throw all of that now down the drain. Shaq wasn't going. Enter Del Dog, the leader of the Main Street Mafia Crips, and one of the most famous men of South Central LA.
You had to hear about Del Dog. He was like God.
Christened the Street Apostle, Del Dog was the founder of 4 Life Records and the 4 Life Mafia Car Club, the latter of which became the predecessor for an entire car subculture in Japan. He was also tight with Steve Harvey and Ice Cube, both of whom starred in a documentary funded by Shaquille O'Neal. Seen as nearly a biblical figure in his hood, he organized toy and food drives every Thanksgiving, Christmas, and summer, with Shaq even pulling up sometimes. Additionally, he was a devout follower of Christ in his later years, of which he did his best to spread the good word around his hood. Like one of his members said,
"We was crippin' for the street, and we crippin' for Christ."
But like every person in power, there are 2 sides to the coin.
He's like a legend in Los Angeles. Some people even call him the king of Los Angeles. If you listen to most people, he was like a ghetto Robin Hood, right? Necessary evils.
Necessary evils.
Lord, I cannot kill all these niggas hating on me, man. That's what I said to God. I said, I cannot kill all these niggas that's hating, man.
2 weeks later, Robert Ross, Stutterbox, was at the Pink Dot in West Hollywood when he encountered some of his old partners from the Main Street Crips. They blocked his car from leaving and told him that Dog wanted to see him. They forced him at gunpoint to drive his Rolls Royce back to South Central LA, where they dropped him off in front of a member's house, where Liddell Rawls, Del Dog, was waiting. Per Ross's account, Dog and some other guys started jumping him, pistol whipping and all of this stuff for about an hour. They then took him to a studio in the back of the house, where they beat him some more, took his diamond necklace, his diamond earrings, Rolex watch, and $15,000 in cash, while saying, Mark and Shaq know who the real boss is now. Del Dog then demanded the tape and $100,000, to which Stutterbox replied, his mom and sister needed to see him soon or else they would get suspicious, but he'd be able to get $60K and the tape in just a few hours. Del Dog then handed him his keys for his house and his car, and let him out. Now, this is where our story gets even juicier. Robert Ross, up to this point, had been working with the police.
He was working with Detective Darren Dupree and Greg Caden, which was a joint task force. They were both LAPD officers, primarily focused on the Tupac and Biggie murder investigation.
Whoa, hold on, huh? Wait, why? Why? Well,
Robert Ross right? was also a suspect in the unaliving of Biggie Smalls, the notorious B.I.G., Christopher Wallace. Well, they had informants saying that the police did it, and the hitman name was Amir Muhammad. Well, Stutterbox went by the alias. Robert Ross went by the alias.
And to top it all off,
the Main Street Crips are already under federal investigation. I'm talking about home invasions, drug dealings. The FBI, ATF, DEA already has federal wiretaps going on.
Which is why this crime was able to be so fleshed out in the first place. They'd already had wiretaps placed on the Main Street Crips. Man. Listen, we talking about Biggie and Tupac on an NBA channel. Bro, like and subscribe, man. Who's really doing this? Back to box.
He leaves, jumps in his Rolls Royce. He calls his handler, Darren Dupree, and Darren Dupree tells him to walk and report the kidnapping and robbery at the local police station, which he did.
Now, Robert Ross's informant situation and motives are still murky, but what is known is that instead of going home and receiving the tape and the $60,000, he went to the LAPD 77th Division station, beaten and bloodied, and told the officers about what had just happened, and implicated Liddell Rawls, Shaquille O'Neal, and Mark Stevens. Now, was there any evidence other than hearsay to prove that Shaq and Mark Stevens put a hit out on Robert Ross? No, Not really, but remember the wiretaps. The LAPD found that around the time that Robert Ross was kidnapped, a flurry of calls was exchanged between Mark Stevens and Liddell Rawls. Now, I just finished up The Wire season 1, and bro, when I read that, I said, bro, literally bar for bar, man, I was shocked. So, there's strong evidence that Money Mark called Del Dog to handle Stutterbox, something Greg Kading, the officer that worked with Stutterbox and the handler of the Tupac and Biggie cases, also corroborated.
Shaq's like, man, this clown's trying to extort money from me. He tells Mark. Well, Mark reaches out to Del Dog and says, you gotta swear your guy away. Can you deal with Stutterbox? Tell him to knock this shit off. So Del Dog and the Main Street Crips go and they discipline and threaten Stutterbox.
But Ross didn't press charges right away. Sometime after the kidnapping, he was incarcerated again, which led to a delay for almost 3 years. Then in the summer of 2011, he officially filed a civil complaint accusing Shaq, Mark Stevens, Del Dog, and 7 other Main Street Crip members of kidnapping, assault and battery, and robbery. From there, the case was picked up from all the major news outlets, with bombastic headlines like Shaq Attack and the like. But then, after the preliminary hearing, the case was inexplicably dropped. Why? Well, apparently, Robert Ross perjured himself in court. He lied on the stand. Wack 100, his former partner, and in on that first Ray J deal, claims to know why.
To help a certain individual out, I called my attorney, had the attorney put Greg Kading and Mark Stevens together. They put that together to ask Box on stand, if you go pull the paperwork, have you ever been a confidential informant to work for the LAPD, FBI as a known snitch? He lied on the oath and said no. Greg Kading takes a stance, provides a document that this dude is in fact one of our informants, this, that. At that point, the judge looks at it, he perjured himself. Therefore, any allegations or any claims he's bringing on anybody is non and void. They dropped the charges on these 7 Crips and let them go. So in a sense, this Paul Roof freed the Crips.
Now, time for another plot twist. Wack 100 was also allegedly an FBI informant at the time, but this time for Death Row Records in regarding the Biggie Smalls case.
Is there any hour of the day or night where you wouldn't message me?
Yeah, there's a time where I wouldn't message you.
What's going on, bro? Lamonte, who's actually got beef right now with Wack 100, broke it down for me. Buckle up. So, for context, after the death of Biggie Smalls, there were allegations that the LAPD was involved in the murder. And not only that, but they hid their involvement in the preceding trials. Biggie's family then filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the LAPD in the city of LA, demanding over $400 million.
Detective Greg Kading, he helped federalize that Main Street case, but that wasn't his case. He's running the Biggie murder investigation and the Tupac Death Row Suge stuff. So that's his priority. There's a $400 million lawsuit against the LAPD and the city of Los Angeles, which would have bankrupt. Greg Kading and Darren Dupree, the task force was created to bring up a different theory that didn't implicate any police officers in participating or assisting in the unaliving of Biggie Smalls, the notorious Big. That's his only focus, to bring up a theory so that they could get off this $400 million lawsuit.
Yeah, he admits that.
Detective Coet would have spoke up on the stand, or Detective Fournier, they could have asked them about everybody who was on this investigation, including the informant. Informants being confidential source 2 back.
Now, who is CS2 back? Well, according to Lamonte's findings, that is Wack 100 Cash Jones, who's listed in the investigations while Del Dog was speaking with Mark Stevens. Through Mark Stevens, who is now Cash Jones's employer at Deja 34 Records thanks to the Ray J deal, he wanted to convey the information that Stutterbox had gone sour. Del Dog declines. The police investigation referred to him as CS2, Confidential Source 2, and Mark Stevens confirmed his identity later on. The priority being the case of the notorious B.I.G. and Jones's ability to be able to point out the culprit as being Wardell Fowles, aka Poochie, as a plausible story. If the police officers working on the Stutterbox case were to testify, they were liable to exposing Cash Jones's relationship with the police due to him being involved tangentially, and thus rupturing the relationship needed to have a working theory to save the city of LA and the LAPD $400 million. So they left their lower-ranking informant out to dry, and the case was dropped. But hey, that's just a theory, a gang theory. That was poor. That was poor. Thanks for watching. My bad. The LAPD, by the way, had already designated Ross as an undesirable informant due to having a personal vendetta against other gang members and allegedly bragging about paying cops.
Stutterbox is a really interesting character. He may be one of the worst people that I've ever come across. So
Of
far
course,
as how
Greg
devious
Kane
it
hates
is.
him
So maybe
because he
that was
said
the
Darren
reason.
Dupree
Whatever
and
the
Greg
explanation
Kane
was,
were
the
on the
case was
tape.
dismissed. The members were set free, and
They
Shaq
were
didn't
in
even
his
see the
pocket.
courtroom. Robert Ross, regardless if he had later legal troubles, lives now in a nice house and what seems to be a peaceful life from what I can make out. Liddell Rawls, aka Del Dog, was shot in 2015 after allegedly attempting to mediate a gang dispute. Mark Stevens, I think, is still living in Atlanta, still working with Shaq, not on music anymore. That kind of died out in 2013. And as it turned out, he actually became Stephen A's agent. And Shaq is now an overpaid hater on national television, far from the gangster life that he may have once dabbled in. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
I don't know that Shaquille O'Neal was even aware that a kidnap and robbery was going down. I don't know that. You know what I'm saying?
We'll probably never know, but damn. And if you see any other stories like this, hit me up on Twitter, man. I want to see some more. I want to cover some more. Like and subscribe if you haven't, because more heat is on the way. Thanks for watching. You can't stop the rain.
Right now at US Cellular, you can get 4 free.
11, man. That youngster intelligent as hell. He's a sports vlogger. Y'all go follow Kip Kamey 11, KIPKAME 11, the number 11. You know what I'm saying? He definitely exceeded my expectations working with him on that, being able to digest and comprehend everything that I said, just like WorldStar, and they ain't even got all the facts, like WorldStar is able to do. But let's go to just like Wack 100 in his these documents is admits that he went to No Jumper to try to clear his name. How you gonna clear your street name on the internet? You supposed to go to your hood and do that. But this is what this SNY, this SNY nigga saying. So we gonna go ahead and get into this real quick. You know what I'm saying?
They exposed Wack in paperwork. They deleted that. Documented call Wack. They exposed Wack in paperwork. Is it this? Let's see.
Cool Figure TV. Back. Bout that Wack is over. Yes.
They thought it was up under my name. I had a living beyond the means excuse to come in there was all up on the different corporations.
Wack is claiming that FBI did not know his house was not in his name before entering his home, and once they found his paperwork...
Hold on, let me see if I can find this. Is it this?
Wack 100, most famously known for arguing on Clubhouse, has been exposed as an confidential informant in paperwork recently released by defendant Money Mark and Stutterbox. Before we play the recording of Money Mark, who was the main defendant in this case, confirming Wack is back, let's take a look back to when Wack himself spoke on this case and admitted to meeting with the feds and also saying they owe him a favor.
Once they hit my motherfucking home office, that's when they called the search off. Because in the home office, he then discovered the house and cars and everything they thought was up under my name, that had that living beyond the means excuse to come in there was all up under different corporations.
Wack is claiming that FBI did not know his house was not in his name before entering his home, and once they found his paperwork in his home office, they called off the search. How does the FBI not have this information prior to search warrant?
My attorney, we go down to the federal building on Wilshire Boulevard, right up to 405. We go up top. Now, I get up top, I'm tripping, nigga. So when I tell the motherfuckers, hey, look, y'all raided my house. Y'all had motherfuckers cuffed up in my house. Y'all did all this shit, you know, and y'all know damn well I was clean. Y'all embarrassed me, this, that. We filed the suit. When we get outside with my attorney, 2 officers that's depicted in there came to the front of me, and my attorney said, hey, look, man, let this shit go. This shit gonna fuck. You know, this ain't gonna look good on us. We didn't know you. That boy put it on you.
What up?
Right?
but we'll owe you one.
Wack is explaining going down to the federal building tripping and basically the detectives telling him on the spot that Stutterbox told us on you. This seems a little odd that detectives would give up someone who is supposedly working for them name, and also beg to drop the lawsuit and let us owe you a favor. Wack has told this story on several occasions, changing it up a little each time.
When I got up to the top floor, when we went to go get my personal belongings, me and my attorney, when I saw the two women with that FBI flag jackets come out, that Stutterbox would always invite to dinner when we was eating at Stevie's on the Strip, that's when I knew what time it was. When we come off the elevator, I see a bunch of people in FBI flag jackets. Guess who one of the persons I see? The fucking female from New Orleans that asked about the 5 keys.
Sounds like a scene from Power. Was it one or was it two woman? Now
he's seen the Creole brawl that was bad as fuck that he met through Stutterbox, a known informant. And you know this horny ass nigga, you know 3 Finger Back, his ugly ass probably never had a bitch look that bad in his life. He trying to do whatever and say whatever he can to get up under her. When she told him about them 5 keys, that nigga might not have been dealing work, but he definitely was gonna tell her he was. You know what I'm saying? Because he trying to get the number so he could try to sink his fangs into that thing, not knowing the bitch was a fed the whole time. Box lined them up. Let's go.
Wack 100 decides to use his favor the detective promised him and calls it in. Listen to how easy it is for Wack 100 to get the information. These is words coming from Wack, and like he always says, the truth could never be considered disrespect.
I'm sitting back, I called my attorney. I said, hey, yo, call that officer. I need to have a word with him. Yo, didn't you say that Stutterbox is a cooperant for you? Yeah. Documented on paper. Yeah, documented. He's a CI. Been that for 6-7 years. You got the paper and all, whatever y'all use. Yeah, we got that. Okay, yo, contact this dude. Have them call Stutterbox to the stand. Yeah, I called it in that day, and I did sue, but I used the card, and that was it.
Stutterbox alleges that Wack 100 was caught on a wiretap with Dale Dog conspiring to commit murder. This is why his house was raided and led him to working with the police as back. Stutterbox explains to Juice M's that Wack gave up his address.
His house got raided because he was on the wiretap with Dog, you know.
What is Mark saying I had to do with the case, bro?
Wack, listen, in the paperwork, it said you tried to call Dog, remember?
I tried to
and he
call
won't take
Dog.
your call. I sent it to you. And he
I
said
talked to Dog. I talked to Dog. That whole Main Street shit, that was your play. I had nothing to do with it. I was a victim. I was a victim.
There you have it. Wack admitting to being a victim on the case, talking to Dale Dog, and also saying Money Mark was completely right.
Dude that spoke on Shaq, he's completely right, because I was caught up in the middle of all that.
Stutterbox said you in my paperwork on wiretap, right?
So Stutterbox confirmed that Wack was included in his paperwork
on the Main Street.
On the Main Street case,
which he wasn't charged. But this guy is saying the only person that was arrested
was Cash Jones.
If Greg's credibility hurts the findings of the entire task force or not?
Well, first of all, there were no arrests made other than Cash Jones.
But when you get the discovery, was part of that the actual wiretap? The whole transcript. I got the whole transcript. The whole transcripts of the whole wiretap. And do you, in that paperwork, do you see your conversation with Cash Jones in them transcripts? That was the initiating. When they started recording. Right. And Cash Jones. In the paperwork they put him as that. BACK. And I kept asking
the Wack boy in a minute.
The lawyer, like, who the fuck is? I ain't talked to no back.
Nasty.
And they
way.
said, nah, that's Wack. So they put him in back because he a brother. So
wow. All right, man.
Your academics.
Hey, if this is what y'all trying to get Wack down with, man, this shit was boring as hell, man. Wack ain't guilty, man. Like, I'm sorry to say, Wack is one of the niggas like, yo, he's like a cockroach, bro. Like, if you gonna come for him, you gotta come from the right.
If that's what you guys are gonna get Wack with, man, that's bullshit. He's not guilty. This nigga's a Wack weenie 100, rat 100, CS2 back, gleazy guzzler. Nigga, this nigga's a professional gleazy guzzler. Mind you, he does like having sex with his girlfriend with other men. So it's starting to make sense.
You gotta make sure you come from right. This shit looked like he was trying to put me to sleep, and unfortunately, who knows if they have any points in this, but I just don't care anymore. I'm sorry to say. So again,
I just don't care anymore. Oh, you don't care about your boyfriend being exposed or your girlfriend, whichever one it is. But in any event, I wanted to go dive into this real quick, right? It's just a few documents that from this filing, this legal filing from Worldstar Hip Hop contesting Wack 100's bullshit ass lawsuit. So if you look at this one, right, Wack 100 really gets into tattletelling and involving me in this case where I'm not suing none of them yet. You know what I'm saying? At this point, right? I ain't suing none of them. I told them I want my money, both of them, right? But I ain't suing neither one of them. So now here he goes. Here's the first page, right? This would be page 3 and 4 of the Declaration of Cash M. Jones. This is what Wack 100 under a declaration of statement, right? Under penalty of perjury, he will testify to this. The source and author of the defamatory statements as published and disseminated by defendant is Worldstar Hip Hop, is a felon. So the source and author of this is a felon, widely known to be biased against and openly hostile towards me. Well, I could test that statement as false. Also, specifically, the author of the video is Lamonte Sims, aka Deuce M's Sims, a convicted felon who serves as the self-proclaimed CEO of Active Chucks Entertainment. So he's making sure that he's pointing me out in a declaration that he's prepared to testify about. Sims has a well-documented pattern of engaging in vexatious litigation and long ago initiated a public campaign of defamation and harassment directed at me. On or around June 6, 2022, Sims released an entire podcast episode focused solely on me, one of several such episodes explicitly stating that the purpose of the podcast was to antagonize Wack 100. 19. Then on or around May 25th, 2023, Sims escalated his public antagonistic behavior towards me by participating in a multi-part series aired on the YouTube channel Street TV, during which he publicly discussed his personal animosity and alleged beef with me, further perpetuating false and defamatory narratives. Simply put, Sims' long-standing disdain for me and his repeated efforts to defame me have been well documented and widely known for years before the release of the video, and they persist to this day. Even a cursory Google search reveals his public beef with me and his propensity to make baseless attacks on my character. Notably, since the initiation of this action on or around September 3rd, 2024, Sims sent the legal demand letter to both me and Worldstar Hip Hop. In the letter, Sims alleges that Defendant Media Lab never had authorization to publicly disseminate the video in the first place, and accuses Media Lab of copyright infringement, stating in part as follows. It has come to the attention of Mr. Sims that your company has created, distributed, rented, sold, and or displayed the documentary, which contains an excerpt of the work. Claiming ownership of the documentary was never authorized by Mr. Sims or anyone associated with Mr. Sims. So this resulted in direct copyright infringement. Mr. Sims demands that you immediately cease and desist the distribution, rental, sale, and or streaming of the documentary Wack 100 exposed for being an alleged federal informant documentary. A true and correct copy of Sims's September 3rd legal notice directed at both Wack 100 and WorldsTAR Hip Hop is attached as Exhibit A. So Wack 100 in his declaration made sure that he sent them my declaration, my demand for payment from Wack 100. Now, this is the worst part, right? So he says reputational harm and damage. As a result of defendant's publication and dissemination of the documentary and the defamatory statements, I have suffered significant harm to my property, business, trade, and profession. The false and defamatory statements have caused me severe emotional, reputational, and financial harm, and have even jeopardized my personal safety by placing my life in danger. Now, I don't know about y'all, but when you get to telling people that somebody is jeopardize your safety and place your life in danger, that's the key words when you PCing up. Claiming you's a baby gangster, was a BG, now you PC'd up. The documentary dropped, now you PC'd up. This nigga SNY, special needs. He has security concerns, safety concerns. See, this is the shit that would be in his C file if he was telling the authorities about this, what he's stating right here in California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. See, speaking of CDCR, this is exactly what happened. When the Bloods told that nigga, here's this knife, handle your business. And if you listen to him, instead of handling his business, he get into it with a CO, a correctional officer, who just out of the blue, when it's time for him to handle his business, and told him, fuck slobs. Disrespectful epithet that disrespects the Bloods organization. Gets out of the blue. He's supposed to handle his business, and the police call him out of his name, disrespecting the Bloods. So he handled his business with the police and got off that yard. Claiming you baby gangster, now you PC'd up. That nigga ain't no baby gangster. That nigga's not no Pacoima Paru. This nigga got safety and security concerns. This nigga said the false and defamatory statements, which he claims the documentary, we all know is true, right? The false and defamatory statements have caused me severe emotional. He's emotional. Emo thugs. These niggas is homo thugs, emo thugs, reputational and financial harm, and even jeopardize my personal safety by placing my life in danger. So let's run this back real quick, right? So this nigga then not only pointed the finger at me, He not only told them that Due Sims is a felon. What does a felon have to do with the documentary? Obviously, me executive producing a documentary means I'm a businessman, an executive producer. But he wants to undermine my credibility so that people wouldn't believe me. This is what's been going on with Crackhead Eddie Boy. This was been going on with Cheeseburger Chuck. This what's been going on with Imam, Channel BLK. All of these people who attack me, trying to undermine my credibility. The craziest part is, not one of them niggas got more credibility than me in the streets, in life. So that means neither one of them has the credibility that I got online. So I have lost numerous potential business opportunities and relationships due to the accusations made in the video. Members of the hip-hop community are unwilling to associate with someone labeled a federal informant or snitch, a stigma that is particularly damaging in its cultural and professional context. Specifically, the defamatory statements explicitly and implicitly suggest that I am duplicitous, and untrustworthy with confidential information. These statements damage my reputation among both current and potential clients who are unlikely to seek professional management services from someone portrayed as indebted to law enforcement for being caught conspiring to commit a crime, particularly a crime as serious as murder. So he goes into complaining that he's losing his money. The documentary not only made sure that people knew he was a rat, because it wasn't a lie, it's 100% fact. Wack is CS2 back. Let's be clear with that. Confidential source number 2, back. Or the Wack boy on the federal Title III wiretap. Not only was he a rat then, he ensures that we know he's a rat now. He said he would never put a street nigga name in no paperwork, no civil suit. But he'll sue WorldsTAR, he'll sue the Hilton, but he won't never put a street nigga name in his paperwork. Well, he said that's ratting. That's exactly what he did. Put my name, my company, and telling them that I'm a felon in this paperwork. So the fact that I'm a businessman, I've been 14 years since my last crime. We're gonna have a lot to say about that, right? And then I want to get into this last page. It's comes from WorldstarHipHop, right? And it's their affirmative defenses. Defendant alleges as follows, this WorldstarHipHop. The first affirmative defense was that Wack 100's complaint for defamation fails to state a cause of action upon which relief may be granted. So Wack only asks that they take the video down and that they give him a public rebuttal of the video. He only wants WorldstarHipHop to clear his name. If they don't say and lie and say that he ain't CS2 back and that they were wrong, then he's suing for $5 million. The only thing about that is this. It ain't gonna happen, Cass Jones. It ain't gonna happen because of this. The second of affirmative defense, plaintiff claims are barred in whole or in part because statements allegedly made by or attributed to WorldstarHipHop were substantially true, and WorldstarHipHop had reasonable grounds for believing the truth of the statement. That's all they got to prove, is that the statements made were substantially true and that WorldStar had reasonable grounds for believing the truth of the statements. So that's all we're going to do for today. We're going to play this documentary, what all the big fuss is about, and then we're going to end this. Let's get into this real quick. I think it's about 11 minutes, man. Let's get this up in here. And after that, we're going to get up out of here, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
Spoke on Shaq, he's completely right, because I was caught up in the middle of all that.
Well, first of all, there were no arrests made other than Cash Jones.
Wack 100, most famously known for arguing on Clubhouse, has been exposed as a confidential informant in paperwork recently released by defendant Money Mark and Stutter Box. Before we play the recording of Money Mark, who was the main defendant in this case, confirming Wack is back, let's take a look back to when Wack himself spoke on this case and admitted to meeting with the feds and also saying they owe him a favor.
Once they hit my motherfucking home office, that's when they called the search off. Because in the home office, he then discovered the house and cars and everything they thought was up under my name, that had that living beyond the means excuse to come in there, was all up under different corporations.
Wack is claiming that FBI did not know his house was not in his name before entering his home, and once they found his paperwork in his home office, they called off the search. How does the FBI not have this information prior to search warrant?
Build a website you love with Wix.
Damu.
For your words.
Hit that like button. Let's go.
My attorney, we go down to the federal building on Wilshire Boulevard, right up to 405. We go up top. Now I get up top, I'm tripping, niggas. So when I tell the motherfuckers, hey, look, y'all raided my house. Y'all had motherfuckers cuffed up in my house. Y'all did all this shit, you know, and y'all know damn well I was clean. Y'all embarrassed me. This, that. We filed the suit. When we get outside with my attorney, 2 officers that's depicted in there came to the front of me and my attorney said, hey, look, man, let this shit go. This shit gonna fuck. You know, this ain't gonna look good on us. We didn't know you. That boy put us on you, right? But we owe you one.
Wack is explaining going down to the federal building tripping and basically the detectives telling him on the spot that Stutterbox told us on you. This seems a little odd that detectives would give up someone who is supposedly working for them name, and also beg to drop the lawsuit and let us owe you a favor. Wack has told this story on several occasions, changing it up a little each time.
When I got up to the top floor, we went to go get my personal belongings, me and my attorney, when I saw the 2 women with that FBI flag jackets come out, that Stutterbox would always invite to dinner when we was eating at Stevie's on the strip, that's when I knew what time it was. When we come off the elevator, I see a bunch of people in FBI flag jackets. Guess who one of the persons I see? The fucking female from New Orleans that asked about the 5 keys.
Sounds like a scene from Power. Was it one or was it 2 women? Now Wack 100 decides to use his favor the detective promised him and calls it in. Listen to how easy it is for Wack 100 to get the information. These is words coming from Wack, and like he always says, the truth could never be considered disrespect.
I'm sitting back, I call my attorney. I said, hey, yo, call that officer. I need to have a word with him. Yo, didn't you say that Stutterbox is a cooperant for you? Yeah. Documented on paper. Yeah, documented. He's a CI. Been that for 6-7 years. You got the paper and all, whatever y'all use. Yeah, we got that. Okay, yo, contact this dude. Have them call Stutterbox to the stand. Yeah, I called it in that day, and I did sue, but I used the card, and that was it.
Stutterbox alleges that Wack 100 was caught on a wiretap with Dale Dog conspiring to commit murder. This is why his house was raided and led him to working with the police as back. Stutterbox explains to Juice M's that Wack gave up his address.
His house got raided because he was on the wiretap with Dog, you know.
what is Mark saying I had to do with the case, bro?
Wack, listen, in the paperwork, it said you tried to call Dog, remember?
I tried to
and he
call
won't take
Dog.
your call. And I sent it to you. And he
I
said,
talked
he
to
wouldn't
Dog.
take- he
I
wouldn't-
talked
he
to
wouldn't take
Dog. That whole Main Street shit, that was your play. I had nothing to do with it. Nigga, I was a victim. Nigga, I was a victim. Nigga, I was a victim.
There you have it. Wack admitting to being a victim on the case, talking to Dale Dog, and also saying Money Mark was completely right.
Dude that spoke on Shaq, he's completely right because I was caught up in the middle of all that.
Stutterbox said you in my paperwork on wiretap, right?
So Stutterbox confirmed that Wack was included in his paperwork
On the Main Street
on the Main Street case,
which he wasn't charged. But this guy saying the only person that was arrested
was Cash Jones.
If Greg's credibility hurts the findings of the entire task force or not?
Well, first of all, there were no arrests made other than Cash Jones.
But when you get the discovery, was part of that the actual wiretap? The whole transcript. I got the whole transcript. The whole transcripts of the whole wiretaps. And do you, in that paperwork, do you see your conversation with Cash Jones in the transcript? That was the initiating. That was the initiating when they started recording. Right. And Cash Jones. In the paperwork they put him as. Now the paperwork they put him as Back. BACK. And I kept asking
the Wack boy in a minute.
The lawyer, like, who the fuck is? I ain't talk to no Back.
Nasty.
And they
way.
said, nah, that's Wack. So they put him in Back because he a brother. So it's
Wow.
Okay. Was this Back also referred as confidential source number 2? Yes, sir. Correct. Well,
That's nasty work. We don't even need to play no more of that. You got
met him with the homie Stutterbox. That's how I first came to meet Wack, was through the homie Stutterbox, right? When I met him, dude was driving trucks, seemed to be cool. Box was like, yo, this was his neighbor across the street. He seemed to be cool. When Stutterbox defected, Wack picked up the phone and was basically being the interim, the middleman, because he was telling me Stutterbox was defected, and I was like, okay, but my whole thing is, if he defected, why are you fucking with him? Right. So he says that Stutterbox defected, and then you get some phone calls asking to speak to someone else, right? Yeah, he called me. He called me, man. It was a series of calls, 4 or 5 calls. He wanted to reach out to the homie, rest in peace, Dale though. And I don't give out nobody now.
Right.
So I called the homie, Dale dog. I'm like, yo, homie, you want to holler at this dude or what? Because he keep calling me. And he was like, nah, I'm good on that. I don't want to holler at dude. So at some point, you get a
you don't want to do no hollering?
Wack 100, Cash Jones.
Hell no.
And when he contact you, what did he contact you concerning? He wanted to reach out to Dale Dog, rest in peace. And he wanted to give Dale Dog some information that he had gotten from Stutterbox, right? It's like he was getting information from Stutterbox on what his plan was and what the get down was gonna be. And he wanted to talk to the homie and talk to him. And Dog wasn't getting on the line with him. And he kept blowing me up because he wanted me to get him on the line. Right. Smart man. Rest in peace to Dale Dog, man. So he's talking about the phones is being compromised. Is that one of the things that he told you? Well, the homie Dale Dog never trusted dude. Follow me? Right. So Dog didn't know was the lines compromised or was they wired up for sound or not. He just wasn't going to chance it.
Now let's jump into 2 more situations Wack 100 himself discussed about his encounters with the FBI.
Fans just called my phone 2 hours ago.
What they were talking about?
I seen the shit, right? So first, I've been trying to get gang passport cleared. I said, maybe it's the, the passport people, right? So I said, I ain't gonna answer. Let me put the recorder on, then call. I called back. niggas straight feds. So they asked me, have I been threatened? I said, what? Threatened by what you talking about? They talking about the boy, right? So that let me know they on his line. They didn't heard something.
Information has been provided that you've had some disagreements with Mr. Prince. Are you familiar with him?
I mean, I know who he is, but I don't have no issues with Mr. Prince.
Okay. So,
I mean, a disagreement is a disagreement. I don't know how that factors in the FBI.
well, I think Mr. Jones, all the YouTube videos going back and forth with him calling you a snitch and you calling him one and all of that would be where we received information that there was possibly a disagreement.
Wack hired a crisis actor to impersonate the FBI. He posted a screenshot of his call log and bureau was spelled wrong. Was this Wack way of alerting the authorities he has issues with J. Prince? Wack has threatened 9,000 people on the internet, threatened to put a bag on people's head, claim he supplied guns to gangs.
Them same niggas you talking about when they went to war, guess who they had to come see to get their tools, bro? Big you all up. Wack. Crip nigga gotta come see me.
Why would the FBI be calling a big-time gangster like Wack 100 to make sure he's okay? Unless there is a relationship between the two parties which could have started when the felon was caught in Texas with firearms. Wack has accused rapper T.I. of snitching for only serving 1 year for illegal firearms, claiming that there was no way he could have only got that little time without telling. Wack 100 alone with his brother was arrested in Texas for unlawful carrying of a firearm by a felon. There was never a court date, no discovery on file, just a brief in support of motion to suppress. The case was dropped in 2011 in the interest of justice. Wack needs to do what he asked everyone else to do. Produce the paperwork, not just the order to dismiss. Explain how a felon gets caught with guns crossing state lines. What happened to your co-defendant?
Visit the cost cutters near you today and get the cut you want at a price you'll love.
That's it, man. We up out of here. Damu, Kiwe conversation. We're going to be still chilling up on Clubhouse, man. Chilling with the fam and the people that pulled up, man. Salute to y'all. We out.